So today we're diving into something really special, a book called Seeds of Consciousness, which is all about the wisdom of a man named Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj. And this isn't just some abstract philosophy, It's really a guide to completely flipping our understanding of who, or maybe what, we really are. Let's get into it.
So, this is the man at the heart of it all. On the outside, he was a family man, he ran a little shop in a super crowded lane in Bombay. One person who visited him even said he looked exactly like millions of others. But then, when he opened his mouth to speak, it was like the wisdom of the entire universe just poured out. And that is the incredible puzzle we're going to try and unpack.
All right, here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll look at the paradox of the shopkeeper sage himself. Then we'll trace his journey from Maruti to Maharaj. After that, we'll get into his core teaching, the I Am, illusion. Then we'll check out his pretty radical teaching style, which he called a mirror to yourself. And we'll wrap it all up with this amazing metaphor, the seed of consciousness.
Okay, so first up, let's talk about this incredible contrast. I mean, how could such a seemingly ordinary life hold such extraordinary insight? Well, Maharaj actually explained the shift that made it all possible.
This quote just tells you everything about the scale of his transformation. I mean, think about it. He went from identifying as just a guy, a human being with a family and a job, to knowing himself as Brahman, which is, the Sanskrit term for the absolute ultimate reality that is the source of everything. That's not just a small change in perspective. That is a complete rewrite of identity, from the personal to the totally universal.
And this really just hits it home, doesn't it? The paradox is just so stark. His physical life was incredibly humble. He taught people from a tiny little loft apartment in Bombay. But his inner state, his realized state, was just boundless. He taught that consciousness itself actually contains the entire universe. So yeah, his physical address was tiny, but his true address was everywhere.
So how in the world did this happen? Let's take a look at his life story. Because this was not your typical path of, studying dusty books or hiding away in a monastery. His was a journey of intense, direct experience.
You can really boil his journey down to just a few key moments. He was born as Maruti in 1897. Then in 1933, the pivotal moment, he meets his guru. And get this, just 3 years later, by 1936, he attains full self-realization. He did leave for a little while, wandered as a monk, but he pretty quickly decided that it was more meaningful to live in the world, and he came right back to Bombay, back to the life of a simple shopkeeper.
So what was it? What unlocked this unbelievable realization in only 3 years? It wasn't some complex ritual or studying ancient texts. It was one single, simple instruction from his guru. He was just told to focus on the feeling of being, just that raw sense of existence itself, before you stick any labels on it like me or I'm a man or anything else. Just be aware of being.
Okay, so this leads us right to the heart of it all, the big one. Understanding the nature of that fundamental sense of existence, that simple feeling of I am.
Before we go any further, just ask yourself this. Seriously, before you know your own name, before you remember your history, before you even know what you're doing today, what is the one single thing you are absolutely certain of? The undeniable fact is you exist. You are.
And that, right there, is what Maharaj called consciousness. Not our thoughts, not our personality, not even our body, but that primary, simple feeling of I am. He pointed out that this feeling has to be there before anything else can happen. Without it, there's no world, no you, no anything.
And to show that this sense of knowingness isn't actually personal to you, he used this incredible analogy. In all of these cases, right, life just appears. And along with it comes that simple knowledge, I exist. A baby doesn't decide to be conscious, it just sort of happens. He saw it as a completely natural, impersonal thing.
So what's the radical conclusion here? It's that the thing we call our personality, our stories, our likes, our dislikes, that isn't our true self. He said it's just a collection of memories and habits that have been layered on top of that raw, impersonal consciousness. Just a temporary little structure with no real substance.
So how do you even begin to teach something this mind-bending? Well, it wasn't by giving lectures, I can tell you that. His method was way more direct and, honestly, often powerfully challenging.
He really saw his job as just holding up a mirror. He wasn't there to give you new beliefs to hang on to. He was there to smash your old ones. He would take a person's own questions and just turn them right back around,
forcing them to look inward and confront their own nature directly.
Let me give you a perfect example of this in action, straight from the book. A visitor comes, he's searching for truth, and he says to Maharaj, "A mirror is what I am looking for." I mean, what a perfect setup, right? The seeker is ready.
And Maharaj's response is just devastatingly direct. Those mirrors that you have had so far are all useless. Boom. In one sentence, he just dismisses every philosophy, every book, every concept this poor guy has ever collected. He just cuts right through all that mental clutter to make a point. Real knowing isn't found in some external system.
Okay, so this brings up a really important question, right? If all our ideas and concepts are useless, why bother listening to his words at all? What's the point?
And his answer is wrapped up in this beautiful, powerful metaphor that gives the whole thing its purpose. His words, they're not meant to be memorized like facts in a textbook. They're meant to be a seed that gets planted in your consciousness. And once it's planted, it just sprouts and grows all on its own.
So you see, this isn't a how-to guide to get enlightened. It's more like an initiation. The whole point of his talks was to plant a seed of inquiry, a little spark of awareness that kicks off this organic internal process. And your only job is to get out of its way. And that, right there, is the final mind-bending takeaway from the shopkeeper sage of Bombay. In a world that's constantly screaming at us to do more, to strive, to become better, his message is this radical alternative. What if the ultimate truth is already what you are, and the only thing you actually need to do is nothing at all?